Welcome, fellow confidence crusaders, neuro nerds, and success equalizers. This is your podcast, Real Confidence. I'm your host, Alyssa DeVere, and I'll be sharing a bit of basic brain science, some surprising social secrets, and a touch of tough love. Why? Because I believe confidence is everyone's fundamental right and choice. So let's get to it. I'm excited. I have a new friend. She's looking at me on screen. I know you can't see her, but Danita Young is with me, and she's a fellow coach. So that's always cool. But you specialize in some interesting areas. You see, you're a transformational coach, and you deal with a lot of things. We're going to talk about anxiety, procrastination, and things like that. But introduce yourself a little bit more to me and to the audience. Like, what kind of coaching do you do? What kind of coaching do you love?
Yeah, accidentally got tripped into it. Those are the best kind of stories, right? Where you accidentally fall into the career path that you're in. But it's very summed up into transformational. So it could be life coaching. You might have heard that. My certifications, NLP, CBT. I'm an owner and founder of a fitness company. And really how I tripped into coaching was just generally trying to help people with a fitness transformation and did not know end up all I'd be here with anxiety and procrastination and things like consistency.
I love that. When you say you tripped into it, I think it probably was a path into it, but needless to say, I'm glad you found it because you have some really interesting ideas about not just ideas, but methodologies that you've developed to help people deal with anxiety. And we're going to focus on that for today. But this word anxiety, it's kind of like a toss phrase. Like, what does that mean to you? And when somebody says, I feel anxious, what does that open up for you?
Just means their survival brain's activated, they're in a contracting state and they haven't learned the right tools to get out of it.
But what does it feel like? Like, I mean, I know when I say I'm anxious, like there's certain things that happen. Maybe I get a little jittery, physically jittery. I ruminate in my head. Like what are some of the symptoms that you hear that people are saying, I feel this way, and subsequently you go, okay, they're anxious.
Yeah, a lot of physical symptoms come from the nervous system. So I see hypertension, so high blood pressure could be one. Their middle ear is turned off, so they're not listening as much. So they make a lot of costly mistakes in their life or their career path. Brain fog is another one where they're not being able to get enough oxygen in their body and therefore not being able to get into their brain. I hear a lot of physical pain. So you hear of tension myositis syndrome where their muscles are tightening no apparent reason, then you're losing the blood flow and the oxygen there. So there's unexplained problems when they're having to go live in chiropractic offices because of that. I hear dizziness. I hear sleeplessness. Insomnia is a big one. Slow metabolism can be one. Hormones can be all thrown off as another one. Um, man.
In general, everything can go wrong sideways, right?
Oh yeah.
So anxiety, it could be caused by a lot of things, right? Let's start with maybe, is it genetic? Do you know? Is it something you inherit? I mean, it's clearly something you can learn from anyone around you, but do you think that certain people are more prone to being anxious?
Yeah, I do. What I've seen is that generally, if you have anxiety, you might find that your grandma gave it to mom, gave it, and then therefore you're in the atmosphere, you're in the belief systems of operating in more of a fear mindset. So that was where I would say more generational. It's not like bloodline. I haven't gone down that path, but as far as like cognitively, yes, that we absorb belief systems from our generations. And so that could definitely be one. I definitely see it get passed on to kids after that. So it is something that ripples. Other parts is sometimes people don't have anything in their generational line, but they just had a life event or some sort of trauma event that happened in their life that triggered the survival mechanism, and then it has just activated and they can't seem to get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see it in my own kids for that matter, that uh, a lot of the family members were, New Yorkers by birth. So I think it comes also geographically. But there's a reaction, and we talk a lot on this podcast about brain science. So, I'm not afraid to use the amygdala word, that amygdala moment that they get nervous about something. There's some kind of a fear, right? And then they do go into that survival mode instead of saying, all right, stop, 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 stop. And it is learned for sure, but I think in some ways it's a sociological, I mean, I think we're all kind of conditioned to be by default anxious. Would you agree with that? Or what's your feeling?
I would agree. I think a lot of people are confused thinking we're built to thrive. No, we're built to survive. So the basal ganglia and just recognizing that there is a automatic pilot for us to turn on. It says time to survive. And that's something that has to be learned to overcome that. Otherwise, we go our entire life and you hear the people that are on their deathbed saying, I should have done more. I should have faced the fear. I should have lived that moment. I should have done the thing. It's because we've all been built just to survive. And so it really is a learned, well, at least the research I found is about 92% of people are stuck in that survival version. That's why most of us feel like we're just on that hamster wheel of life versus only 8% of people really break that. And these are the ones that we're looking up to. These are the ones where we want to wait, what are they doing? How come they're able to enter? And then we think, oh, they're the lucky ones, or oh, they were smarter. No, 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 they're not. They're really not. Once we just have different tools, we can be just like that and better.
Yeah, and that's kind of like my whole body of research is exactly that is, confidence is a choice, it's a learned thing, and what it really boils down to is exactly what you're saying is learning to break that amygdala moment so you go, wait a minute, because it's funny the survival mechanisms are all in the bottom of our brain. So I kind of joke with people. I'm like, well, it's gravitational pull, but it's really evolutionary pull, right? That is the strongest part of our brain, the oldest part of our brain, all that. So it does take a little energy, at least a little bit of will. If somebody doesn't want to break that cycle, they can't. But we talked about some of the symptoms, the physical symptoms or the tells. And you mentioned a couple of things that I want to go back to, but also have you expand on. You said middle ears turned off and subsequently they're not really in the present moment. What are the things that you see? What are the impacts? How is this anxiety impacting people that come to you and say, Danita, I need help. I need to deal with this. What are the things that are sideways that need to be corrected?
Driving is a problem. Being social is a problem. They are not being able to go to their kids' events anymore. A lot of people say, I feel like I'm alive, but I'm dead inside. I'm not social anymore. I don't have any friends anymore. I'm just sitting in the walls of my own home and afraid of everything. Usually I find that they stopped their career. And so they've had a lot of career stagnation, which creates financial instability. Relationship problems always are definitely a ripple effect of this. And then definitely health. Health is a big concern as well, that we know everything from the health comes from the nervous system. So yeah, those three things are huge.
These are serious, really serious. And so are they being told to go seek help or do they normally self-recognize this?
I think what's unfortunate is, yeah, they go and seek help, but when they do seek help, what they're getting is medication, which we all know is a Band-Aid fix, and it's not fixing anything as far as the processes of the subconscious or conscious. And unfortunate, it's just they go. I speak a lot of people that have been over medicated and or that they feel like that is their only option. The other thing that I found too is talk therapy, where talk therapy is you're just spinning around in circles and you keep telling the story over and over on repeat, but there's not much growth, right? So there's a big difference between like therapist versus coaching. Coaching is like, I heard the story once. Do you want me to hear it twice? Or are we ready to get out of this? So I would say that sometimes even people would have come to me with trying different types of modalities of therapy. They just feel like, man, I'm just not there yet. I feel like maybe I've had some growth, but I'm just not there yet. That's what I come across.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that you differentiated coaching and therapy. They are different. I think a really good coach, as you seem to be from just what you said, will, kind of shed the light and also disrupt that story that may be completely false in their head. So, when you hear somebody who's anxious about something, that is completely preposterous. And I see preposterous like you're like, there is no way that can be true. They've created a truth in their brain that's not real. Do you want like are you probably saying to yourself in your head, oh my God, this person is just so far from reality. What do you, do you call them out on it?
No, because there's a white and black thinking. So they get stuck into a perspective is usually what happens. At least that's what I see 100% of the time. It's just a perspective shift. And what happens with our day and age right now is what's called fake positivity. A lot of people are coming up to him saying, it's water underneath the bridge. It's mind over matter. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Get over it. Right? These type of things have actually made it actually worse for the person that's struggling with anxiety because what they're saying is, you're not seeing it. You're not feeling it. You're not in it. You're just giving something that's just, again, like it would be as just as surface as medication is. It's not really fixing the root of it. And so these people feel like they've gone to every point in their life to try to figure out who can see me, who can recognize me. And so I really do see two parts of a person. There's a core version of an individual, and then there is this survival mechanism. You can call it ego, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I see always the core version of them. So I never have this like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Like, there's never a judgment at all that comes to play. It just means you're trapped and you haven't learned a new tools to allow the perception to shift into a curiosity that's expansive that allows you to really break out of that.
Interesting. I love that. And thank you for kind of not taking the bait there because I think a lot of coaches or a lot of therapists would be like, knock it off, right? In some form. And it's not necessarily wrong. It's just, you're right. There is more to the story. And usually people don't just create anxiety, right? They're not like looking for it. It's something that's manifested. It could be a thousand different reasons why. Do you get wrapped up in trying to figure out why they're anxious or just more focused on let's break the cycle and get out of it?
I like to try not to relive the past trauma. I think that by going into the details, there's no point and rhyme or reason to actually just instill more of the emotion and the survival mechanism to come on. So what I like to do is just get the main points of it. Where did it start? Usually COVID is a big one for all those people in New York that I get a lot of people from New York that went through the COVID experience and just random stabbings everywhere, right? Like that still lives inside their subconscious that they're dealing with. And so once we once we were able to recognize that it's not something we have to relive. I don't need to go back and hear the horror stories in every detail about like what happened, but we do need to recognize like truth. That's the antidote to anything as far as fear-based and where anxiety actually loves is the fear. And it likes to not change. It likes comfortability. We are built to be in that familiar place. And it just is, it is what it is. And so it's not until we have to say to ourselves, literally, you will be safe if you're happy. You will be safe if you make more money in your life. You'll be safe if you have love in your life. Like that's legitimately how crazy it is that like you have to train the body what safety actually really is because in its mind, it's just saying, well, you got to be careful on what if and should have and could have and maybes, that's what it's built off of. And so you have to learn new, uh, call it, there's different tools that are out there for each person. There's so many different tools. So you just start going through all the tools and find out which one hits for that person and sets them into truth. And that's the freedom that whole quote of the truth sets you free. It is 1,000% correct.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad we're talking. I feel like I've found another neuro nerd, but also somebody who's really speaking the truth. So that's wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a very quick break, give a little sponsor love. But I know that you have not just tools, but some methodologies and some tips. And I know people are thinking to themselves, okay, this is great. I have some anxiety. What do I do next? So we're going to address that in just a minute. This podcast was sponsored by the American Confidence Institute. ACI uses basic brain science to teach you not what, but how to think with more confidence. ACI is endorsed by top universities and business experts, and it is accredited by the Society for Human Resource Management and the International Coaching Federation. Learn more about ACI's uniquely empowering keynotes, workshops, online training, and coaching certification at www.americanconfidenceinstitute.com. My new friend Danita, somebody comes to you, or maybe they're just listening to the podcast and they know they've got some of those symptoms and issues that we talked about earlier. What do you tell them to do first?
First thing I would tell them is you got to know where you're at. I'm serious. Like when you go down this direction, you can call it self-development, you can call whatever, but it is an internal world that we're really talking about here. You're dealing with thoughts and you're dealing with emotions, and that is so internal. And when you look at the neurological pathway loop, it is thoughts to the emotions to the actions to the outcome. If you split that halfway down, the entire other side of the actions outcome is things that we can physically see. And that's where 92% of us get stuck is we're like, I'm just going to do more. I'm going to be more. I'm going to have to get on that routine and things of human being, but we are human, not human doing. We are human beings. And so the being part is being the internal world. So the first thing I would recommend is an assessment on yourself to find out where all your beliefs are and also find out where your frequency is. What an important thing to kind of like find out where your emotional home is. And once you have those, it's like basically going to the mall and seeing the star of where you're at and where you need to go. And then instead of like chasing this like random thing that's invisible that you don't know where you're going, instead you've got a clear path. Okay, I got to get rid of these limiting beliefs, or I've got to raise my frequency. It's really low right now. These are the elements that we get to celebrate when those milestones are reached. Then you're able to do that. That'd be the first step.
That'd be the first step. And are there favorite tools or techniques, or is it best to work with a coach to do that kind of initial assessment work?
What I do is for free. So for all your listeners right now, you can go to callwithdanita.com, and I'm just gonna do a free assessment as my gift because I have a whole story about my life and how I've overcome it. And I thought it was 8 years, but really what I found was it was my whole entire life I was actually in it. And it wasn't until I finally got out of it that I was like, oh my gosh,
Right.
people are stuck. And so as a gift, I want to give back to the world because it's a ripple effect. Once you change, it changes another. You know, it just continues to go on. So it's a gift to just do a free assessment. I'll sit and show you my whole assessment sheet. You go through it and you find out where exactly are you at. That's it. Just where your frequency's at, where your beliefs are at, where your brain's sitting at. You know, just have a little bit of some awareness right there.
Fantastic. And again, listeners, if you are a loyal listener, so to speak, and you've listened to other pods that I've done, you know that beliefs, values, needs, wants, those are so critical. They create those boundaries, those comfort zones, so for you to operate in your confident best. So for no other reason, I think this is a great exercise just to kind of give your brain some help on that. When somebody is in a state of, I don't know if it's a real phrase, but hyper anxiety, like, where they're having panic attacks, where they're having, these kind of really metaphysical kind of metaphysical, they're not metaphysical, but they're uber physical reactions. When does it get to a point where you're like, okay, forgot the assessment, go see X, go do X? Like, I want to be very clear with people. This may not be, an assessment's not going to fix all kinds of anxiety, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's getting to a point of panic attack, which I call is the free zone, this is the shutdown version of ourselves. When we've gotten to a point of complete and utter depression, hopelessness, helplessness, like a point to like where we've almost lost control. At that point, that is because we've really missed some signs of the body that's been screaming at us for a long time. So if you've got just the little signs right now that's saying, hey, I'm a little dizzy, or hey, my heart palpitation feels off, or hey, I have shortness of breath, or I have tightness in my chest, or hey, I've got fear that keeps popping up, or I can't sleep at night. These are all things that need to be addressed. Otherwise, the body's just going to start to scream. And that's eventually what it does. That's when eventually we start to lose that control because the body says, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to make it so apparent to you that you finally do something to do something about this. And so at this point, I mean, if somebody is like has lost the control, really the ability and the function of their body, that's where they need to go seek medical help. That's where I'd go put yourself into the ER if you need to go check and make sure your heart is okay in that moment. Because you know, the unfortunate thing is people just sit and take multiple loads of medication thinking that's what's going to get rid of it. And so I would use that if you've had a panic attack in your life, I would use that as the moment to go, you know what? I got to do something about this, and I got to do something foundationally. I can't continue to keep throwing surface fixes at this. Meditation, journaling, talk therapy is not enough to really rewiring the subconscious. And you guys, it's not hard. I promise you. Once you just go into finding that a lot of the limiting beliefs that we have in our mind are affecting a lot of the emotions that we're carrying, and recognizing there's so many tools that we can give that fear to turn it into truth. it's going to automatically put you into balance. It's automatically going to make you go into flow. You're going to find yourself into so much more financial freedom, relationship improvement, health abundance. Like you're going to find so many aspects of your life as a ripple effect. It's as simple as we're either living contraction or we're living expanded. That's it. It's that simple. That simple.
Well, you know what? You make it sound so simple and you're so eloquent that I really want to reinforce. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I've written books and all kinds of things that support everything you're saying. It's really true. It's not hocus pocus mirrors. And it really does go back to if you're ignoring the signs. You know, how many times do you go to a conference or something? Somebody's telling this amazing story. They had a heart attack and woke up and realized they had to quit their Wall Street job and blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not a hero story. That's pathetic because they were ignoring the signs for so long that their body finally say, knock it off, right? So I love what you're saying. I love what you're doing. I love that we got to be connected this way. People are going to want to connect with you. So please, what is the best way to reach you to get the assessment, but also to perhaps explore some of the other opportunities to work with you?
Yeah, I think I mean, the first place to start, like I said, the callwithdanita.com, that would be the simplest. And then after that, after you go through the assessment, I have a masterclass. If you're like, a lot of people's subconsciouses don't like me because I am a I create transformation, as you can tell. I'm very passionate at what I do, and when somebody finally decides to meet with me, they have to draw that line in the sand, and they have to say, I'm not going to live my life with regrets. So there is a little bit of a fear that people have when they first meet me because I'm very high energy, meaning my frequency is really high. And that might really propel people. And so if that's a little nerve-wracking to actually jump on a call with me, another place that you can go to is just alignwithdanita.com. And you can actually go check out a masterclass that I have that will go into a little bit more detail with this and learn more about it. Because really, you guys, it just starts with educating yourself. And just like what you said, it's not woo-woo. You guys, this is neuroscience. This is physics. This is everything that you've heard from spirituality to biology to everything you've ever heard in life. They're all saying the same thing, you guys. It's just to find somebody that makes it so it's simple, so it becomes doable for you. That's it. But in my opinion, do the work because you're going to live your life with no regrets. I will mark that as a promise to you. You will live a life with no regret.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing some nuggets. I know it's just scratching the surface here, but at the same time, I think I even, there's a lot that you offer. So thank you so much. And please, my friends, we found another excellent advocate for listening to your body, listening to your brain, and subsequently, thank you for listening to the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Before we totally wrap up, I want to let you know that full transcripts and show notes for this and other Real Confidence episodes can be found on www.americanconfidenceinstitute.com/podcast. I also want to remind you once again that the best way to get confidence is to give it to others, and you can do it just by liking and sharing this episode on your preferred podcast and social media channels. You can even give me some confidence by noting topics you'd like me to consider for the future. So for now, this is Alyssa DeVere. Thank you for helping to bring more confidence to the world. Master editing done by Ben Weinstein with original music performed and composed by Jeff Mitchell. Real Confidence is a production of American Confidence Institute. All rights reserved.